Here, commencing another video review. And today, as you can see, I'll be taking a look at the 1 to 1/44th scale high-grade 00 Gundam 7 Sword G from Gundam 00V, one of Gundam 00's side stories. Anyway, here you can see his size to a soda can. Pretty standard for 1 1/44th scale kits. Just get that out of the way. As far as colors go, it's basically what you can expect from a Gundam model. Mostly white with quite a bit of blue, some yellow, dark gray, and a smattering of red. He also has a few color variations from the regular 00 Gundam. View from above and below. Posability is pretty good, but again, it is a Gunpla, so that's expected. There is a ball joint in the head, side to side, rotate, up and down, and then of course a ball joint in the body, so back and forth, and all that same posability. You can ostensibly get the head to turn all the way around, but with how far his cheeks stick down and then the collar, it's a little bit iffy. As for the backpack, there is a ball joint in the main section here, so this arm can move back and forth, swivel, up and down, all that good stuff. There is a swivel up here, and then a swivel and a hinge up here, so up and down, tilt, all the stuff you could need with that. Just get that out of the way. There is a joint in the body that allows the arm to move back and forth, and the shoulder itself is on a ball joint, so it can go that far up, but if the backpack wasn't in the way, it can conceivably go all the way around. It can also sort of wiggle up and down a little bit on its own. The arm can go out to the side that far on just the one joint, all the way out like that on if you use the ball joint. Can swivel all the way around just below the shoulder. The elbow can bend at 2 points. There is a larger joint here that can bend that far. It can also go the other way so you can break his arm. And then a joint there that can bend that far. There's also a hinge here in the wrist that goes side to side like that, and then a ball joint in the hand. So side to side, in and out, rotate, all that good stuff. There are actually 2 ball joints in the waist. One up here and one down here, so you can actually get a very good range of motion out of that. So, you know, back and forth, side to side, swivel pretty much all the way around. The front skirt is one piece and can move a little bit, but it doesn't really need to for the legs. Side skirts are on ball joints. They can move everywhere they need to. No movement on the back skirt, though. Legs can move forward that far, back that far, out to the side, all the way. There's a joint in the trunk that allows it to move back and side to side like that. There is swivel just below the hip. Legs can bend at 2 joints, one up here, and then one down there. The front portion of the ankle armor can move up and down like that. I have no idea why my camera's focusing so far away like that. For some reason it's focusing all the way out there, for whatever. Anyway, there is a ball joint inside the foot here, so it can tilt, move side to side, and all that good stuff, and move back and forth. A ball joint in the foot itself, as well as a hinge, so back and forth, rotate, not too much though. And then of course there's the famous 00 Gundam tilting ankle, which can go all the way to the side in a very creepy manner. That's about it for the posability, so on to the accessories. Yeah, boy. We'll start off simple with the accessories. For his left hand, he has a spare hand that is splayed out instead of a closed fist for certain poses. Exchanging that's very easy. Just pop the existing hand out of the ball joint and pop the new one in. And now you can get some more dynamic poses. So that's pretty cool. Next we have his twin beam sabers, which, as you can see here, are just simply two pieces of white plastic. He comes with two transparent pink beams. Something felt... Anyway, but again, as usual, they look almost orange on my computer. I have no idea why. You can put the beams into the hilts very easily. Post, port, plug it in, nice and simple. Unlike a master grade, he doesn't hold these extremely securely. You just drop it into his hand and then just go from there and hope he doesn't, send it flying. So as long as you get him to the right pose, he's not going to drop his beam saber, but you can see it's not an extremely tight fit. They, of course, can be stored on him. There are open slots on his back skirt where you can stick both of the beam sabers. Nowhere to store the beams, though. Come on. This one always gives me a little bit of trouble. There we go. And of course there is an alternate position. You can take the beam saber handle out and put it into this port, or slot, and make it look like it's sticking out to the side so for him to prepare to draw it. So that's pretty neat. Next we have his two GN Katars, which are some of the new weapons for this set. They're blue plastic with some white and then some transparent green that looks very, very weird on camera. They're fairly well detailed, not very big though. Getting him to hold them isn't all that difficult. There's just a handle in the back. You have to pull that out. Take the back of his hand off. Come on. Come on. Slot it in. And then put the back of his hand back on. As you can see, it's not a super secure fit. It is rather floppy, but again, with his hand closed around it like that, he's not going to drop it. It's just that some of the poses might look a little bit weird. Now, both of the GN Katars can be stored on him. The new knee joints have these posts that stick out with ports in the Katars. So just line them up like that. And that. And there you go. Whoa! These don't make him top heavy, I just dropped him. And there he is with the Katars stored. Helps make some of his poses look a little more dynamic, I think. Now the next accessory is technically a set, but we're going to look at them individually. Get out here. First up is the GN Sword 2 long version, which, as you can see, is just a slightly altered version of the GN Sword 2 that came with the original 00 Gundam. From here back, it's the same, but the front part is different. The blade is much longer and wider. It still has both the sword and the gun mode. To get in the gun mode, fold the trigger guard forward, pull down the grip, take the blade off, turn it sideways, and there you have it in gun mode. Now, one thing to note is that this green scope piece is not standard. It was originally a clear scope piece, but I actually had 2 of this guy. I sort of screwed up the first version, so I just took the scope section from another of his weapons and used it on this one to make it look green, since that's what it's supposed to be. But anyway, getting him to hold it, like many things, is fairly simple. Just drop it into his hand. And with how big this thing is, he doesn't hold it super securely. I mean, as long as you're not just throwing him around, he's not going to drop it. One neat thing for the rifle mode is there is a side grip you can pop out to make it look like he's, trying to put in a little more stability. Of course, he can hold it when it's in sword mode as well. If that doesn't happen. This stuff only happens when I have the camera on. Now, again, to hold it into sword mode, just take this whole thing and drop it into his hand. He holds it like this, much more securely than the other mode, but as you can see, it is very, very long. And again, this can be stored on him fairly easily. There is a port on the side skirt, post on there, just plug it in there, and there you have it stored. Next, he has the GN Sword 2 short version. As you can see, it's tiny. It's basically a dagger. And the key feature of this one is that you can take the blade and split it, and there is a bendy wire with a white cap on the end. Just take one end of the wire, plug it into that hole there. Come on. And then take the notched port or notched post on this one and plug it into the blade. And there you go. You can now shoot this out and do all kinds of stuff. Since it's a bendy wire, you can, pose it however you want, which is always fun. And of course, this works in both sword and gun mode. And the transformation for this one to gun mode is the same as well. And as I said before, he can hold it fairly simply. Just drop it in his hand, or if you want to hold it in sword mode, just get it folded back up. Nice and simple. And again, there's that same post, goes into the port on the side skirt. If my fingers will stop twitching. Now the next accessory is one that's a bit more famous for this version of the mold. That is his GN Buster Sword. As you can see, it is a very, very big weapon. Even in its shortest setup, it is longer than he is. Now, of course, it actually has 2 modes, just like the others, but instead of sword and gun mode, it has sword and shield mode. Now, to get into sword mode is actually fairly simple. You just take these white pieces, flare them out, and there you go. It's in sword mode. And so you can just take this hilt, drop it into his hand, and there he is wielding it in sword mode. It is absolutely large, or overly large. So you can also take this handle out for like some kind of stability slashing or stuff like that. So there's that. And it also does have shield mode, but that's a little more complicated. So what you want to do is take this back piece, pull it out until it snaps into place. Just like that. Take the blade and pull it out until it snaps into place. And take these blue pieces. There are just 2 sets of tabs in there that sit on these slots. You want to get them on the lower slots that sit further out. See if I can, like that. And like And there is the shield version, or shield mode. And you can equip it as well. Oh yeah, you want to fold this handle out too. Now to do that, you want to get his hand turned like this. Put the handle, or put the grip into his hand, and then there's a tab right here that'll go into that slot on his arm right there. So just slide that handle in, and then just line that tab up as best you can. And there he is with the shield configuration. So that's a pretty neat little weapon. I quite like it. And of course, it can be stored on him. You're going to get it mostly back into sword mode. But you're going to leave this bit extended out because this indentation goes around the GN drive, and this tab goes into that slot. So just plug all that on, and there you go. It now makes him so heavy that if you're not careful, he's going to fall right over. So be aware of that. And then for his final accessory, the GN Sword, is it 4 or 5, something else? I forget, but this is a very cool weapon. This is my favorite weapon of the entire set. Now, the scope piece I have on this came from this weapon of another version of the model I had. Now, of course, it has, the usual 2 modes, sword and gun mode. Now, sword mode, it's already in it. So, you just need to get his hand in the right configuration, and then drop it. Hey. Come on. And then just drop it into his hand like that, and there he is, equipping it in sword mode. Pretty simple. Now for gun mode, that's a little bit different. You want to bring this piece up, but leave the grip where it is, because you're going to put the grip into his hand and then fold it up until this tab right there goes into that slot. So put that into his hand. Let's see if I can do this a little bit better. And swing this around, and then just maneuver it until that tab goes into that slot there. And just put that down just to make it look a little more secure. And there it is in the gun mode, and I really like the way that looks. It just looks like it gives him a big old extension arm cannon thing. It's awesome. And of course, it does have a little side handle that can be popped out to make him look like he's, aiming a little more carefully. That's always a neat little touch. Overall, this is just my favorite weapon of the entire set. I just sort of like the way this blade looks. Now, you can, of course, still use it, as a sword in this configuration, but you're supposed to, collapse all that up for sword mode, but whatever. I like this weapon. It's cool. Anyway, the way to store this is get it out of it. Come on, let go! Now the way to store this is you take the guard section here, bring it down like this, take the grip and fold it down in there, and then there's this big tab right there that'll go into that slot. Just put those two together, maybe, and there he is with the GN Sword whatever stored on his GN drive. And that's him all armed up. And that looks really cool. I mean, that is a lot of weaponry, and that is a lot of big weaponry. I mean, he's got the 2 katars, the long sword, the short sword, the beam sabers, the sword shield and the sword gun, or shield sword and gun sword, however you want to say that. Yeah, I just like the way that looks. I personally like the 00 Riser more just for story purposes, but on looks alone, this one's so much cooler. I wonder if you could do them both together. Probably should have tried that before I sold the other one. Come on, look good for the camera. Well, that about does it for my review of the 1 to 1/44 scale high-grade 00 Gundam 7 Sword G. One last thing I want to say before I go is if you or anyone you know likes to collect Gundam models or just models in general, but has neither the time nor the patience to build them, I offer a little service on the side where I will build models for you and send them to you. So if you're interested in that, just let me know with a message or something like that. But until then, bye-bye.